Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about something we actually know quite a bit about. Disney theme parks.
Disney theme parks.
Believe it or not, we know a lot about Disney theme parks because for the past 2.5 years...
Well, longer than that.
Has it been 2.5? Well, we had a podcast for a Disney podcast for 5 years. And we managed a very popular Disney Parks fan theme site for 2.5, 3 years.
That's now the Mommy Blogger theme site.
Yeah, but we actually are very well acquainted with Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and we had heard the rumblings. We had heard rumblings that the attendance in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was not quite what Disney was hoping for, but we didn't realize it was as dire as it actually is.
Right, and this explains why some of the... Weren't they doing some Disney World specials and stuff, trying to get people in? Because they don't...
Yeah.
They're worried it's going to fall suit over there.
Right, because, you know, we did not go to Disneyland for Galaxy's Edge. We're like, hey, it's coming to Florida. We're on the East Coast. We'll go to Florida when it opens. And plus, you know, they were talking the crowds were crazy and all that.
That's your story? Okay.
Yeah, that's my story.
Okay.
That's my story. Plus, it's ridiculously expensive. It's ridiculously expensive, which might be keeping people away too. But yeah, it is not performing the way that Disney was hoping, and they were banking so heavily on the theme parks to save the Star Wars brand.
Well, first of all, for those who aren't familiar, they opened the Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland on May 31st. Now, up until June 23rd, you could only get in if you stayed in one of the park hotels and had a special reservation, or if you're one of the lucky people in the lottery who got a reservation slot. Until then, only those people could enter. And then on the 24th of June, they opened it up to anybody who wanted to go. And they're expecting like people banging down the door, and they're expecting like massive people. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, and that didn't happen. We're going to go through a couple of articles here. I was very surprised that Slash Film, which is very much up Lucasfilm's butt, actually put this...
Painful.
Yeah, well, they actually put this article out a couple of days ago talking about how Galaxy's Edge is empty. It's not doing very well. And Disney now, of course, Disney tends to put a positive spin on everything. So the official Disney Parks blog is like, we managed the massive crowds opening weekend.
Yes.
Sunshine and Kittens, people, it was all great. No, what's going on is the people who really wanted to go went the first couple of days, and then now it's like the general public doesn't seem to care. And that's a huge problem. That is a huge problem for Disney. And what's even worse is this is peak season for Disneyland.
Yeah.
And the crowds are non-existent.
Well, they're not non-existent, but they're not where they should be.
They're bad for some.
Bad and like they're not that many people. Not
right,
bad.
Right. Bad for Disney. We were there last year at this time checking out Pixar Pier for a media event, and they were packed. It was packed.
Oh yeah, it was nuts.
We waited over an hour for Small World.
Oh yeah, it was nuts. I got burned.
You know, it was. I mean, for Small World and Disneyland, that's crazy bad. Pirates is like a walk-on. It's crazy. Yeah, so Slash Film is talking about it. And they said you can walk right into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge right now at Disneyland without a problem. On the first week, the land has been open to the public without reservations. Before, they were trying to handle the crowds with reservations. Now they're like, hey, everybody, you can come in. And it's like crickets. It's like crickets. Disneyland and California Adventure both seem to be empty. The standby lines for some of the most popular rides in the parks are the lowest I've ever seen. This is what we're seeing reported all over.
Yeah, this is what we're hearing.
And we're going to go to some other websites too and show you just how bad things are. This is the middle of summer when Disneyland is usually packed to capacity. What's going on here? We used to go to Disneyland every summer. I spent part of my childhood and my teen years in California. We used to go to Disneyland every summer. And I can tell you, June and July, freaking ridiculously packed. And not
well, I can tell you Disney World's the same way because I used to go to Disney World like every other year when I was a kid.
So this is an interesting question. Why is it not busy? So Disney was fearing the worst when it came to crowds for Galaxy's Edge. There were rumors of internal projections that saw the park reaching capacity for the first couple of months of the opening. Naturally, this had fans wondering how Disney was going to handle the opening. They handled it with a 5-pronged approach. They talked about blackout days, creating new and limited time attractions, They're bringing back, Soarin' Over California.
Right.
They've added Main Street Electrical Parade is coming
Well,
back.
that's coming back. That's not coming back for. That's coming back
August,
in August.
yeah.
So that's not yet.
So, 3-week preview period, which required reservations, which I think most people
That's what I talked about.
Yeah, most people who wanted to see it already saw it. They saw it during the
Right.
reservation. Boarding pass process, a huge new parking garage. On the day the land opened without reservations, it hit capacity in the boarding process when it was promoted. But then something strange happened. Galaxy's Edge has not required boarding groups since launch day.
Oh, really? I didn't know that because I covered the boarding groups on a story I did for another blog that I do, and I didn't know they stopped doing it.
Yeah, and Disneyland has been strangely empty. We traveled to the park earlier this week, and not only was Disneyland empty, but Galaxy's Edge was the most uncrowded I've seen it yet.
Wow.
So what's happening? Did Disney scare potential tourists away from visiting the park with all these precautionary logistical procedures? That could be a possibility. Or it could be that almost all the annual passes are currently blocked out. The real question is, why are people staying away?
Because they're sick of Star Wars?
Disneyland is notoriously more of a local park. Unlike Walt Disney World in Florida, Anaheim is filmed with local annual pass holders.
True.
So maybe blocking all the lower mid-tier passes along with cast member access is to blame.
That could be.
Yeah, perhaps, and we speculated about this. We said, because when they're opening
Right.
Galaxy's Edge, it's not the full experience.
No.
It's only half open.
Right,
half
because
done.
there's another attraction, Rise of the Resistance, and it's not open. It's not going to be open until the end of the year. So if I was going to spend a lot of money to go to a Disney park, I'm going to wait until both attractions are open. I'm not, going to go twice, unless I live right there. You're going to wait.
Yeah. So tourists are staying away because the second ride has not opened yet. They're talking about how a lot of the merchandise, though, the classic merchandise, not the Rey, not the Finn, not the Kylo Ren stuff, the classic legacy lightsabers, they're selling out, but there are problems. We look at Beer Flight collectible.
Oh, they are gone. They don't know when they're going to get that back in. That's out for probably the summer.
Yeah, so it's a combination of all the above. I think the truth is, and we're going to go out here, we're going to look at some of what, okay, this is Data Racer 117 on Twitter. There have been a lot of complaints about the merchandise.
Yeah.
A lot of complaints about the merchandise. Several headlines about why is Galaxy's Edge so opening? Why are Star Wars Land crowds so low? Big surprise at Disneyland. Bloomberg. Star Wars Land's not so long waits. Here's some of the complaints about the merchandise. You talked about how the merch sold out, but people are like, hey, lightsaber doesn't work.
Let me tell you about this lightsaber thing first. The Savvy's Workshop lightsaber, the basic lightsaber without the extras, is $200. And how they have it set up now is, on the day of your visit at 7 o'clock in the morning, you have to make a reservation for Savvy's Workshop and for Oga's Cantina. Those ones you have to a required reservation for. Now, when you make the reservation for the workshop, you have to pay on your card the $200 for your lightsaber, and you're allowed to take up to 2 people with you. What's going on is if you miss your appointment time, something happens, you get held up, you're later, you miss it, they keep the $200.
Yeah.
And we actually called, like, what's late
We
mean?
did call, yeah.
What does that mean? And they were like, I don't know. They didn't have an answer.
They didn't know what's going on. It doesn't seem like anybody knows what the hell's going on.
But they said, I don't know, 15 minutes. So you might be 15 minutes late and you have, or, we'll give them 45 minutes. And 40 minutes late, you're $200 out because you have to make a reservation. So you have to pay $200 for this lightsaber. You have to pay $200 just to reserve the spot to make the lightsaber. And then that's what that covers your lightsaber. So I wanted to specify that before. Continue.
Yeah, well, no, what's interesting is you look at, okay, so since we hanged around in the Disney blog,
Disneyverse,
blogosphere, we know a lot of these names. Fresh Baked, Tom Bricker, he runs Disney Tourist Blog. These are pretty, offhand Disney. These are pretty big names, pretty big Disney fans,
yeah,
and they're like,
Disney names too. No, I'm kidding.
well,
yeah,
we actually were.
We actually were.
But past tense, and that's a whole nother story for another day, guys.
We are. We'll be again.
We'll talk about it.
You can find us.
Yeah, but they're complaining. They're complaining about Galaxy's Edge, the lightsabers being garbage. That is not good, not for $200. And then people were like, who's this? Like, this is the main character. Like, people want Luke Skywalker. They're like, who is this person?
What's that supposed to be?
This is the new main character from Polygon. Yeah, this
Wait,
V.
what?
Marathi. This is, I
don't
guess,
know anything about this.
She's, supposed to be the main character of Galaxy's Edge. I have no idea who she is.
And all the things we've been doing research on these and doing stories of this, I've never heard of this.
No, but I'm like, why do we have another
Since when?
blue-haired person?
No, hair's pretty, but since when?
I don't know. Is she part of the Resistance show?
I have no idea. I don't know who this person.
Is.
So
I don't know who this is.
are they just making up stuff now again?
I don't know.
You know.
But again, other Disney blogs. We've got Mice Chat. Surprise Disneyland Resort update. New attractions and no crowds. Not only did they open Star Wars,
they opened a new ride.
Yeah, Inside Out. People have been waiting for this for a while. It's the Inside Out ride. Nobody cares. Apparently, nobody cares. Like, what's going on here? It's open. Nobody's even using the queues. Look at this. There are no crowds. I saw pictures. Yeah, this is over by, I think this is over by Thunder Mountain. I saw pictures on Twitter of people being like, literally nobody. They have the ships on display that you can get your picture taken with the ships. They had Kylo Ren's ship. Nobody's
no line.
No line. Nothing. Like this is
no
like,
one cares. I'm sorry.
This is nothing. Like, look at this.
Oh wow.
I mean,
they were joking that it was going to be wall-to-wall people. Now, Disney Worlds might end up being wall-to-wall people because, like they pointed out,
World's going to be busy.
It might be blocked out for the annual passes. And Disney World is that attracts more people that come from all over the world than Disneyland does for whatever reason. So Disney World, you're probably going to have bigger crowds than this. So if you want to go to one, I'd recommend Disneyland. But
yeah, they said part of it's the attractions. Like here, there's like this part of it's the attractions. They said that it's not kid friendly. There are no attractions for younger children. I think it's really comes down to this too. For Star Wars fans, a lot of people said this. Disney bet heavy on the sequel trilogy. Like this whole land is based on the sequel trilogy.
Ruined.
They bet wrong.
Yeah, they did.
They bet wrong.
They bet on the wrong people to run it. Go back up. I want to read something real quick. Stop it there. It says about the show, and the only show on Galaxy's Edge lasts about 2 minutes and consists mostly of Kylo Ren force choking a Force Order officer.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And again, it's like, I mean, this is, you know, we had friends of ours on Twitter were like, you know, when I go see a Star Wars land, I want to see original trilogy Stormtroopers. I want to see Darth Vader.
I think that's what everybody wanted to see.
You know, they want Darth Vader. They want, if they had based...
They want Yoda.
Yeah. Now, I guess his voice is in the lightsaber thing, but I mean, an animatronic Yoda would have been cool. I mean, people want to live the original trilogy, and yeah, they have the Falcon attraction, but it's not, you know, it's the sequel era Falcon. We've got a character from Clone Wars. You know, it's not...
Well, people, you know, like I said, I mentioned this before, when we did a convention, and it was a pop culture convention, my mom, we had this thing called Conquest, and people would come over and you could do different things to get, you know, bottle caps for charity. You get raffle tickets.
Yeah.
Well, she would give them a list of things to choose from, topics to choose from. And when she bring up Star Wars, most people were like, "Oh, I don't like the Disney Star Wars." That's what they were saying, and my mom was like, "Really?" And I was not surprised. But they were like, they just don't like Star Wars, and several people said they don't like the Disney ones.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah, they bet wrong. Like, look, they actually
vocal minority.
It's not the vocal minority. The general public doesn't care, and I think it's also getting to a point now where the Disney parks to pay for all of this stuff have become so expensive.
People are just like, I'll go someplace else.
They just jacked. I mean, is Disney World actually going to be that busy when it opens here? Because they just jacked the annual passes up 25%.
It's the biggest increase they've had.
Ever.
And then they went from, like, you know, they used to have seasons, you know, like it was, you know, peak season, off season, or whatever, and tickets were based on that. Now it's based on day to day by their projections for how busy it's going to be and when they can gouge you, when they can't. But even the cheapest days are ridiculously expensive.
I mean, here we have another article from Mice Chat. They're talking about the park's biggest ever expansion opened yesterday to the general public, and the expected epic crowds didn't materialize. Look at Main Street.
Oh, wow.
There's nobody on Main Street.
I wish we had gone then. I honestly thought it was going to be crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of people were staying away because they thought it was going to be crazy, but I'm like, we were there last year at this time.
Oh, you couldn't walk.
You couldn't walk when they opened Pixar Pier. But meanwhile, now this is in Anaheim, but in Orlando... At Universal, they opened the Hagrid's coaster, and they have literally 10-hour waits.
10-hour waits.
10-hour waits for Hagrid. Nobody seems to care.
Well, like you said, though, I do think part of it is Disneyland's more of a local park, where Disney World, it's going to be busier, I think, at Disney World. But even then, I don't think it's going to be as busy as they think.
Clearly, people were not planning their lives, their vacations around visiting sequel-era Star Wars-themed land that's only half done.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is because people are like, "Whoa, if I'm going to go, I'm going to wait till both rides are open." What is that? Is that cornhole or what is that?
They're playing cornhole, hopscotch in front of Pirates of the Caribbean because they thought they needed to entertain the people waiting in line. And there's nobody in line. Pirates is a walk-on.
Which I will say, Disneyland Pirates is far superior to Disney World Pirates.
Look at this. Look at this. 10 minutes for Small World. Last year at this time, we waited like an hour and a half.
I got burned so much.
And the problem with Disneyland versus Disney World is almost all the queues are outside. So you cook. You know, this is crazy. Is this Star Tours? Which one's, or is this Space Mountain? 40 minutes.
Is that Space Mountain? That's ridiculously low.
Yeah. I mean, this is insane. Look at Main Street. You never see it this uncrowded. I was there at Christmas the one year. And
they were doing the Bring a Friend promotion,
They're doing the Bring a Friend. They're pushing Disneyland so hard. And now there are some other people saying some stuff now, like Pete Werner, who runs the Diz boards. He's one of the top travel agents in the country, and he put a post out on Facebook, and he said Disney is really worried about Disney World this fall. They were banking on Star Wars driving traffic, and now they're going to have to possibly do a bunch of deals just to get people down there.
Right. Well, I honestly don't think Disney World's going to have as much of a problem as Disneyland is.
No. I mean, we remember when Avatar opened, and it was wall-to-wall people, but this is insane. I mean, Disneyland, again, this time last year, it was busy. It was really busy. So I don't know what's going on, but I do not think this was the slam dunk they were hoping for at all. I mean, this is bad. Like, they were complaining that Toy Story Land and Disney World didn't drive the traffic like they were hoping, but Toy Story Land is always busy.
It's always busy. Well, we've done videos, and that was with rain, and you can see how busy it was.
So this is crazy. I don't know. I don't know. What, do you have anything else you want to add to this? We'll watch it.
I don't think there's much you could add.
I just don't think the Star Wars brand, I'm going to be honest, I do not think the Star Wars brand has the power anymore.
People are sick of it. I'm just going to be honest. People are sick of it. They're tired of it because it's like constant bam, 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 bam movies. Yeah. And they're tired of it. Plus, quite frankly, they aren't that good. I mean, Rogue One was pretty good. But like the rest of them, I mean, and Force Awakens, some people still argue that's still pretty good. I'm not a big fan of it, but I can see where that one's at least decent. These other ones, I just,
They had two misfires in a row. They had
Rian Johnson was not a good choice.
They had The Last Jedi, which split the fandom down the middle. Actually, I'd say it's more 3/4 to a quarter. And Han Solo,
the vocal minority.
Yeah, and Solo, which bombed. And the brand is damaged. The Star Wars brand is damaged. When a single Hagrid coaster in Universal for a Harry Potter's an old franchise. When a Hagrid coaster can draw 10-hour plus crowds, and you can't fill Galaxy's Edge in the middle of summer in Disneyland, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And I think Disney, by banking on the sequel trilogy, that was a huge miscalculation.
Gouging people probably isn't a smart thing to do either.
If they had turned this into like Mos Eisley and had original trilogy stormtroopers and dewbacks and all kinds of crazy aliens, hammerheads, and
not jack the prices on everything.
Right. I think you would be looking at a totally different story. But they wanted their Star Wars. They want their version of Star Wars, the one they made. And they pulled the trigger on this when The Force Awakens was a big hit.
I'm sorry, I have to take a moment to appreciate. I knew these were coming out. The giant mini bow that I must buy. I need one of these in my life.
Geeky needs a.
I need a giant mini bow. Sorry, I knew they were coming out, so I knew they were. I did a story covering that they were coming out, and then I see that there's a big mini bow in her head, and it just made my day. Anyway, it's one thing that made me happy, and it had nothing to do with Star Wars.
Yeah, I know. And this is the thing. Like we are theme park fanatics,
big time.
We were at one point. We were massive Star Wars fans. I have zero interest in this.
I like the classic Star Wars, and I don't mind the prequels so much. I just don't like, and I like Rogue One. I just really don't like the sequels. I just don't like them. I'm sorry. I tried. I honestly was really willing to give The Last Jedi a chance. I mean, I didn't like The Force Awakens. I thought it was New Hope all over again. I was like, well, so much for originality. And then I'm like, okay. So the next one, they set this up. So now they're going to be original. Yeah, they had originality, but it was so far off a deep end that I'm like, this movie's, I didn't think they could go any worse. And yet they found a way.
Yeah.
So I have just no hope for this.
Instead of a New Hope, it's Star Wars.
No hope.
No hope. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the crowds will pick up when they open the other attraction. But again, that attraction, other than having some original trilogy AT-ATs, is based on the sequel trilogy. And I don't think people care enough about it. I'd rather ride, I mean, personally, I'd rather ride Star Tours. I love Star Tours.
I like Star Tours too.
And that covers the entire, the prequel era and the original trilogy. I like Star Tours. I don't know. This is going to be interesting. They spent a lot of money on this. They jacked up the prices. thinking that this was going to be the magic bullet, and it might be a bullet, but not the kind they wanted. Not the kind they wanted.
It's a silver bullet, not the magic bullet.
God. So, do you want to say anything else?
I don't think there's anything else I can say.
There's nothing else we can say. So we'll keep an eye on this. This is interesting because, again, we've been telling you guys for, well, let's see, we've been doing this for about a year now, that, you know, when Disney bought Star Wars, you know, the movies were one thing, but they were really focused on the theme parks. They thought that the theme parks were going to save Star Wars, and that does not seem to be the case.
No.
So good luck with that.
But if you want to go to Disneyland, apparently the crowds are low. So
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, man, we should fly out to Disneyland. There we go. Okay, so, all right. So, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants, gaming videos, art videos, and more. You're on Clownfish TV. This has been Neon and Geeky.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.